Hi, welcome to my video titled Jodi Arias, Life or Death. I'm Carl Torspins, retired Deputy Warden, New Mexico and Arizona Department of Corrections. Only a couple of weeks away from another hearing, Jodi Arias' fate hinges on receiving life in prison or the death penalty. The main focus will be Jodi's mental status and whether or not she's mentally ill or just obsessed with personality traits that prompted her criminality. Unfortunately, she has killed someone and must pay the price. How she pays the piper is up to the jury. She could be executed by lethal injection if found to be qualified to receive the death penalty, or she could spend the rest of her life inside prison, where she will have to adjust her behavior in order to survive it. Going to death row will pose no threat to society or the prison population. She would be isolated and controlled every time she leaves her cell and housed with others sharing the same fate. Her destiny would be simply to pursue her appeal process and patiently await the decision down the line. She may have to wait 12 years or so, or longer, to be actually executed. On the other hand, if she gets life, whether with or without parole, Jodi will have to engage in some behavioral modification training for her obsessive-compulsive behavior to be in control all the time and calling the shots. It's not just in the cards that she would be in control of her prison environment, and this would cause her much anguish, stress, and frustration. Ironically, these are the exact triggers that prompted her to commit the crime, in my opinion. Her obsession with controlling and possessing Travis Alexander were repetitive and spontaneous thoughts that were intrusive and unrelenting, causing a backlash of violent thoughts and acts. Having said that, I don't think her obsessions are the real problem. I think it's the manner she thinks and acts upon those thoughts that are the problem. Sufferers of obsessive-compulsive disorder, or OCD, know all too well the torment of these perverse and strange thoughts which can accompany violent or graphic images. For them, it's a prison sentence of solitary confinement, inescapable and seemingly deserved, in my opinion. There are many who fear losing their minds while struggling to make sense of ideas foreign to their values and beliefs. Jodi Arias' only hope is that she receives treatment for her behavioral problems. In a simplified answer, she needs to be retrained in dealing with her obsessions and rethink her impulse control and react differently than she has done before. In other words, she needs to redirect a new meaning to her thoughts and appraise or realize their real value of being realistic or unrealistic. There's choices that she has to make. There's one of them. Fortunately, prison time will solve half the problem, but in mere limitations of amenities and possibilities, while in solitary confinement or isolation. Going back to her obsession, she needs to learn to recognize the difference between realistic and unrealistic appraisals of self, others, and the real environment around her. Time will be on her side. There will be plenty of time to ponder and try to manage her inner self and outer behaviors. Obsessive episodes come and go and are basically unwanted intrusions no matter where you are. Thus, it's fair to say prison is not going to impede her compulsive behaviors anytime soon or anytime in the future. She must openly confront them when they appear and deal with it without the fear she has so commonly expressed or displayed during her relationship with Travis Alexander and perhaps others. The fear of losing his affection, the fear of she wasn't good enough for him, and the fear that people were looking down on her. There are more, but the point is, she has to deal with fear. Fear will be diminished inside prison. There are no social fears, no relationship fears, and no acceptance or rejection fears. It's just the fear to stay alive. Going back to the jury hearing, the jurors must be aware that what she did was not due to mental illness, but rather poor impulse control and anger issues. The jurors must also be aware that although life circumstances are contributing factors, they are not the sole reason for her criminality. They need to realize her mind is working fine like a fine-tuned engine, but that the engine is often interrupted by sudden electronic impulses that are unwanted and annoying. They can be reduced by redirecting different thoughts when triggered with an intrusive message or signal. Jodi Arias must be allowed to recognize these false messages and create a new way of reacting to them, to avoid doing the same things she's done up to this point in her life. I suspect that if she has prison time to serve, this would be an admirable goal, but present conditions just don't have the time or program to do this realistically, at least not in Arizona prisons. The truth is, we all have bad thoughts. This neither makes us evil, mentally ill, or murderers. The difference is how we handle these negative thoughts and how we act out on them. Finally, Jodi Arias is a victim of her own device and demise. She fueled her obsessions, her hatred personality, and created the evilness inside her because she never tried to manage her behaviors, nor did anyone else, to the best of my opinion. The fact is that more anxiety and stress she experienced, the more intrusive and harmful these obsessions became, and in the end, she failed to control her own behavior and let herself override the moral codes of her mind and did what she wanted to do at the end. Killed Travis Alexander because he rejected her and she wasn't going to have him. Nobody else was going to either. Behavioral problems, behavioral management. The fact is, she needs to address these emotional impulses that she's dealing with. The bottom line is obsessions are not the real problem. Not at all. It is the meaning we give to them that makes all the difference with coping them emotionally. Thank you for watching my video. Please comment.